there, YouTube. I am back. Sooner than ever before. Well, at least in recent memory. Anyway, I did go see Captain Marvel last weekend, this weekend, the most recent weekend that isn't in the future, that one. And it was perfectly okay. So, we're going to break that down a little bit. This movie was marketed as a sort of rah-rah girl power, we're just as good as the boys thing, and technically correct. It did prove that women are just as capable of leading a perfectly okay and unspecial Marvel movie as any man. So take that, patriarchy. We did it. Glass ceiling shattered or something. I don't really understand how to use that phrase. But to get to some more specifics about the movie, on the whole, it's you know, as I said, it's perfectly okay. If you like Marvel movies, you're gonna like it. If you don't, you won't. But this is true of any Marvel movie. So if you were gonna go see it, you're gonna go see it. And if you weren't, you weren't. That is as spoiler-free as I can be, because I can't really dissect this movie without spoilers. So, spoiler alert, from now on, all the spoilers, all the time, always. So, diving right in. I thought the biggest problem with this movie is that the characters were underdeveloped. I really like Captain Marvel because I like Carol Danvers. She's funny and quick and snarky and irreverent and sarcastic and flawed. And they did all of those things except for the last one. They fell into the Black Panther trap of, well, there's nothing wrong with her. They tried to pretend that they didn't because they kept telling us that she's too emotional and she lets her emotions get the better of her, but we never ever see that happen. We spent way too much time seeing flashbacks to her childhood and training in the Air Force and all of that, and how she was told that she's not good enough, but you never see her really reacting to that. You never really see what she's like. There wasn't anything special about her, not in a sort of what would make her outstanding kind of way, but nothing that made her unique as a human being. So she was kind of boring, and that sort of became more obvious as the movie went on, because at first, well, in the first half hour or so, you don't know that she's going to be boring yet, because nothing's really happened, and then no progression of that character happens at all, so you're just kind of bored. And you could have basically swapped Brie Larson and Jude Law's roles, and you would have had the exact same movie, because that relationship should have been way more important than it was. It could have been so much more interesting, because they should have spent a lot more time developing the relationship between Brie Larson and Jude Law's characters. So Captain Marvel and whatever Jude Law played. I don't remember his name. I'm calling him Jude Law from now on, because I can't be bothered to remember that character's name. So we don't ever find out what those two characters mean to each other. You see them at the beginning on Hala? Yes, Kree planet. And so he trains her and they fight together. And later on you find out that she's alive because he gave her Kree blood, etc. But you don't see that relationship go any deeper. So when you find out what he's really up to, that he's sort of the cause of all of this, it's sort of like, ooh, twist, rather than, betrayal, which is clearly what they were trying to go for, but it just didn't happen because we never ever got invested in that relationship, because we never found out enough about that relationship. A lot of this movie was underdeveloped relationships. Even when we finally meet her best friend from the Air Force, we're told a lot, but they say we're best friends, and they say they've been through a lot together, but you don't really see that. You don't see, especially in her friend, because it's not Captain Marvel's fault that she doesn't remember, but her friend is sort of, she says a lot, I'm very upset that you've just come back after I thought you were dead, but we don't see that. That would be really heart-wrenching, that your best friend has come back from the dead and she doesn't remember you, and it's just it just felt very flat. We stayed on this level. The whole movie just stayed right here and never did this. It just was this the whole time, just flatlined, really. Honestly, if Samuel L. Jackson hadn't have been there, and the cat is very good. I'm not going to spoil the cat. The cat is great. Just in case you watch this entire thing without having seen the movie, the cat is great. I don't like cats. The cat is great. If it wasn't for Sam Jackson and the cat, this movie would be kind of a wash. They laid the girl power stuff on a little bit thick. Some of the lines were very on the nose. Then it didn't sort of ever come to anything, because the thing about all of the flashbacks of her competing with boys, like on the go-kart track and then and all that Air Force training, was that she's not as physically strong as the men, which is just biology. She's just not going to be. So she's elevated above them, but she's more powerful than them now because she's got superpowers. So that could have been a real great moment at the end, when she finally does face off with Jude Law, but it didn't pay off because we weren't invested. He comes at her with an appeal to her pride. He wants to take her down that way of, come on, no powers, show me you can take me on. And she doesn't have to, so she just blasts him. Would have been really funny. I mean, it was kind of funny, but it could have been a lot funnier if she had fallen for that trap earlier. I mean, they sort of tried to set it up, but it didn't really work. It was just a lot of setups that didn't work, a lot of missed opportunities. This movie is really a lot of missed opportunities. He says, "Prove yourself to me." But we never saw her trying to do that earlier on. They were just, the only other time where they're really tangling is when they're sparring earlier, and you don't really see her trying to prove something. She's just trying to maintain control, which doesn't make a ton of sense. You didn't see that was her struggle the entire film, was trying to prove herself to people she admired or wanted to be like. And so then when she realizes that she doesn't have to be like them, that she has these powers and that's what makes her special, it didn't land because, again, that relationship never developed. So we don't know how bad she wanted to prove herself to him because we never saw it. It was a fun movie in the way that all Marvel movies are fun, but I was kind of hoping it would be more fun than it was. It was a little serious because I think the reason why is because Brie Larson played it very flat, not sort of like emotionless, but sort of like even and flat and a little deadpan, but not in like a comedy way. It felt like she was trying to do what Scarlett Johansson does with Black Widow, but that works with Black Widow because that's that character, whereas Carol is an entirely different character. She is very funny and irreverent. But whenever those lines came up, like you could see that it was in the script, but the delivery never quite landed. Sort of a weird technical thing in one of the scenes near the end where they're on this base up in space. It's base in space. Space. So they're up in this sort of lab that's in orbit, and it's just so dark. Like, visually, I found it very hard to see what was going on in that entire sequence. There's some talky scenes, there's some fight sequences, and it was just really difficult to see because it was so dark, which I thought was really weird. And that happened earlier. She's with her friend's daughter, and she's changing the colors in her suit because if you saw the trailer and if you know anything about the character, the suit starts off blue and green, and then it changes to the red, blue, yellow that we know. And so there's a scene where they're picking the color scheme because she can change it with her suit. It's pretty cool. But you can't see what's going on. It's too dark to see, like, the 5 or 6 choices that they don't go with. So it's sort of lost some magic there just because visually you couldn't see what was happening. Just up the brightness a little just so we can see what's going on. That's all. Another thing on the movie just sort of being flat the entire time is the only thing that really touched me emotionally. Was the very beginning, not actually seen in the movie, but the Marvel logo. Because they replaced all the pictures of the Avengers with pictures of Stan Lee. And it was really sweet and a little bit sad. And it's also a little bit sad for the movie that that's the only bit that moved me. When the logo is better than the movie, you know you've done something wrong. I don't want to make it seem like none of this movie worked and that I didn't like it at all, because I did. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. There's a couple things that really did work. Like I said earlier, Sam Jackson and the cat. I love Sam Jackson and the cat. Also, we found out how he lost his eye. Like, very early on, you totally can guess how it happened, but it's funny to see it anyway. Ben Mendelsohn's character, who is a Skrull, shape-shifting alien, he was very good. Ben Mendelsohn's a really great actor. And he has some really poignant scenes and also some funny stuff, and he was really good. I wish that was another character I wish they could have fleshed out a bit more. Maybe they will in the sequel, because it seems like the sequel is going to continue in the Captain Marvel timeline, not jump to post-Endgame. But it was just, there was the whole war between the Kree and the Skrulls is really sort of glossed over. They just tell you that it's happening, but that's kind of where the conflict in the movie comes from, or the plot stems from that war, and they don't explain anything at all. You have no idea who's on whose side and what's happening and whatever. It was underdeveloped all around, so hopefully sequel will get some more detail about that, because that was actually really interesting. So let's hope. So all in all, it was a perfectly good outing. It had a respectable runtime of 2 hours and 4 minutes. It moved right along. I had a good time watching it. I don't think I'd see it again in theaters, but I definitely will watch it a couple of times when it comes out on Blu-ray. It was fun. I liked it. I was pretty excited for this movie because I do read Captain Marvel comics a little bit. And some of it was there and some of it wasn't, and maybe they'll learn for next time that it's okay to give women flaws and personalities. But the important thing is, we've made it, ladies. We too can have perfectly okay Marvel movies. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you haven't seen my recap of the entire MCU, you can probably click to see it here somewhere. It's long. It's like over half an hour. So if you've enjoyed this face, feel free to have some more of it. This is empty.